Citi Field and Yankee Stadium to do vaccine distribution. So yeah, it's New York and they have limited space. I mean, New York is just filled with everything. So they probably do have to go to stadiums to do that. And we're going to talk about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at they're using.
And we'll find out a little bit later, will PNC Park get used? I think is an interesting. I mean, the Pirates really aren't using it. Even if they're there, they're not really using it. So why not?
Yeah, you need areas to them. And yeah, that whole complex there between Heinz Field and PNC.
Yeah.
All around it.
But a bunch of healthy board members at a prestigious university all are vaccinated. And you're sitting at home vaccinated while that ER doctor or COVID nurse is desperately waiting for their opportunity. How do you look them in the eye? It will go away. Someday it will. And it's not anytime soon, but someday it will. And you're going to have to be the board members who decide who gets raises, what does the union get, how do we negotiate this next contract. How do you think those people are going to react to that news that you all sat back and got vaccinated even though you don't come into this hospital every day? But we didn't get it first. Any part of that discussion?
No.
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Obviously, coronavirus changing a lot of things about our lives. Hot button issue to school. I mean, West Virginia going back to school is probably, for the first time in a long time, and I mean, Lola, disagree if you want, this seems to be the hottest issue in the state, more so than corona today. I mean, I've seen more articles about it, about the reentry back into school, just about anything else today.
Well, it's because it affects every single person's life. And I thought if our kids need to be in school. On the news this morning, they're probably 8, 10 years old, living in, I think, Wyoming, that was so devastated by watching ad nauseum the riot in Washington, D.C., and that one police officer that was caught and being crushed in the door jam, that Shirley remembered his moment and sent him a letter saying that, he was such a good guy and thank you for being there, and she just hoped that he was okay. So if our kids are getting inundated with only this kind of stuff in an atmosphere as normal as it can possibly be, socializing and people of the same age group and getting I know it, but then you've got parents too that to do this homeschooling and they're also working, and it's time that they go back.
100 our phone number in here. Welcome to get in on this. I know it's an issue for a lot of people, and not just, you got to ask the questions whether they are every day in a classroom. I don't think you can do that. I really don't. And that's just me speaking about me. That's not a shot at anything. I could do it. I don't think I could do it. I am still a wanderer in my life. At 40 times, I just go outside to watch the people walking down Main Street. I have to do those things. And you don't get that sitting in your house. I'm sure you remember this too, Lola, there was even a television commercial about it when I was a kid. Don't let your kids sit too close to the screen. And then tell them, don't spend too much time playing. Go back. I think I'm teachers at all. I respect teachers very much, very much. I have so many friends in my life that have chosen, and I care about them deeply. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm back to school. The less kids that are going to rely on the kids of today, or my generation will eventually have to rely on them to become physicians, to become accountants, to become senators.
Take care of us in our old age. I
don't plan to get old, Lola. I plan to get more experienced. That's how I judge. Take a break. As always, phone lines are open. 304-214-1600. 304-214. I'm sorry. 304-214-1600. I got a little bit of ahead myself. But we want to talk about everything today. We've got some strange information, whole parlor thing. This is obviously caused a big stir. We'll get into that. Also, visit Lola's home state of Michigan. Some weirdness happening there. Finally, scandal I think we need to discuss. That's all.
Are you or your loved ones facing a serious legal? Someone that's not afraid to go to trial and fight for your rights? Attorney Paul Harris and his team are willing to go where most firms are not. The courtroom. With a successful track record in civil litigation, criminal defense, including tax issues and healthcare fraud, Harris Law Office will fight for their clients by offering and out of court. Call Paul Harris at 304-232-53.
Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog? Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Is it helping attract new clients? Contact the team at Technologies. With expert web developers, they build amazing web experiences. Contact Omni at www.omniperforms.com.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors? Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey, buddy! Yeah. You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it!
Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go, 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure, I mean, you being a mountain climber and all,
Yep.
you probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Chris Lawrence. State Superintendent of Schools Clayton Birch says West Virginia can provide a more quality education by getting students back into their own classrooms and away from their all-remote schedule.
It's really, really all over the board what these remote plans look like. But the bottom line is, when we go to remote settings, it's not accessible for all.
State School Board passed a measure on Wednesday that allows for blended learning, but not remote in elementary and middle school. Now, despite the State Board's decision, Berkeley County is sticking the course with remote learning for all students, at least until teachers can be vaccinated with both of the COVID-19 shots. Montague County students are also expected to stay fully remote next week. Superintendent Eddie Campbell, speaking on Metro News affiliate WHAR this morning, said next week's too soon to put everybody in the same building. They will seek a waiver from the state board to allow for distance learning through February 12th. He said if that's not allowed, then a hybrid schedule will begin January 21st.
We need to give our teachers an opportunity to readjust to coming back to school on January 21st, if that's what we're going to be told that we have to do.
Campbell says they're seeking the waiver because of Montague County's unique position with so many of WVU's students in their community. In Mercer County, a man is hospitalized, another being sought today by authorities after an overnight shooting. It happened in the Glenwood community around 12:30 this morning. A 30-year-old victim shot twice walking through a local trailer park. He was transferred from a local hospital to CAMC. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. Preparations are underway at the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center today for a memorial service tomorrow afternoon for late General Chuck Yeager. The Lincoln County native died on December 7th. His service tomorrow will include an address in Charleston by Vice President Mike Pence. Sunny, clear, and warm weather today, but that will change considerably tomorrow as a cold front will move into the state and bring light snowfall with it. There could be some accumulation in the mountains over the weekend. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
You can now watch The Watchdog on Facebook Live. All your favorite shows enhanced with live in-studio video. Check us out. Weekdays beginning at 7 a.m. The future of local talk radio is happening now. Only on The Watchdog. News, talk, sports, and rock is all right here. Right now. Back to Real Big Talk with Big Rick on The Watchdog.
scared, you think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant.
I like it. I like it. Welcome back. It's 2:42. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. Lola is a native of Michigan, and this is something that only, I think, Michigan people could really, truly understand how tragic this is. I can read the story to you, and I'm sure you've heard it by now, about the Flint water crisis. How does this happen in America? First of all, that's the question that I have. 12 people died. More than 80 people were sickened during the Flint water crisis. And finally, people are being held responsible for this, including former Governor Rick Snyder, faces 2 counts of willful neglect of duty, which seems to be all the rage these days for a lot of people. Snyder has, by the way, pled not guilty to those charges. Flint still doesn't have clean water.
No, not everyone, because even though they went in and redid all of the city's pipes, there's still a lot of houses that haven't had the money, and Flint is really a very poor city. The poverty level there is unbelievable. So people didn't have the money to be able to go in and replumb their whole house. So they're still dealing with lead pipes in houses.
Unreal.
Well, it was all this effort to save. Again, it goes back to poverty and budgets and simply not having enough money to run a city successfully. And they switched water supplies because it was cheaper to switch over to the other one. But that's unintended consequences, but that's what happens when you're dealing with places that are really in the poverty belt. And Flint is one of them. Flint has notoriously been, since the automakers left, Flint has just gone downhill.
You think about, we kind of talked a little bit about this. I don't want to overly revisit it from yesterday, but you and I talked about Florida. This doesn't happen in Naples, Florida, because Naples, Florida is filled with money. This happens in Flint, Michigan, because Flint, Michigan is not. And nobody who can care and fix the problem seems to. If this happened anywhere else, in a place with money, a place that was thriving, doesn't happen. And if it does happen, it's fixed. It's fixed in a heartbeat. It's fixed in a heartbeat. In Flint, Michigan, nobody seemed to care. Phone lines are open, 304-214-1600, and we have a call.
Yes, we do. It's Todd.
Hi, Todd. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
It's funny that you brought up the Flint crisis because I actually just watched that. There's a Michael Moore documentary. Yeah. It's not the Fahrenheit 9/11, but Fahrenheit 11/9. And there is a good 30 minutes in the documentary where they document what happened in Flint. That the water was, like Lola was saying, the water was fine coming out of the lake, and then the Governor Snyder went and created a crisis that didn't exist, and they had to get their water out of the river. But just an interesting fact, and you should look into it, is that GM was running a plant while all this was going on, and GM, the water was corroding their parts. And Snyder actually was able to let GM go back to the original water source, but left the citizens of Flint stuck with the dirty river water.
Well, I have Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, unfortunately, I haven't seen this. I knew of its existence, but I haven't necessarily watched that film. And it's so odd that Michael Moore's come up a couple times this week on the show. And
He's from Michigan.
Yeah, oh, I know. I know. But I mean, just we've talked about him actually. Lola and I ended up discussing something Michael Moore related the other day. Really, I mean, let's localize the hell out of this, and we'll take you to Wood County, West Virginia, where plenty of DuPont seepage has gone into the water, and the C8 thing. I mean, there's another documentary if you want to really dive into Netflix documentaries about how we've let the environment, how we've let money affect the environment. I mean, you can take it that close to home if you'd like. But does that surprise you, Todd, that that GM would be given favors, but yet a poor community like Flint would not? Does that shock you?
It does. It does surprise me. Perhaps I'm naive, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me that it happened to begin with. What surprises me is that when a human being is told by a company, "Hey, this is corroding metal parts. We need fresh water." That's what's. It surprises me that okay, I understand they got to make money. You know, they're bringing in revenue, but how can a human being I don't care about their socioeconomic background. How can any human being ignore the health of another human being, let alone their constituents?
Oh, money. I mean, you know, I mean, and you said you were naive, and you know what? The theme of this whole week for Lola and I have been sometimes ignorance is bliss. So if you are naive to some of the things that are happening in the world that would absolutely disgust you if you sat there and thought about it, good. You're probably in a better spot right now than a lot of people who have to endure. Hopefully you're in a better spot than a lot of people that have to endure some of the things that are happening right now. I mean, obviously some things are happening to all of us at the same time, but I think it really does boil down to money. I mean, is GM the most important, and this is actually more of a Lola question, is GM the most important thing happening in the state of Michigan?
Not in the state of Michigan, but it was in Flint.
Yeah, in Flint.
Because it was just like the mills here, the mines here. If you wanted to make decent money, you went to work. You followed your grandfather and your father into the auto plants. That was basically the only way for blue collar people to really make. And believe me, they made good money, you know. But that was the trend there, just like here, you know.
Sure. I mean, same thing where I grew up. I grew up in Clairton, Pennsylvania. You went to the mill. Your dad worked at the mill, your grandfather worked at the mill, you went to the mill. Well, in my generation, the mill started to close. And guess what happened to Clairton, Pennsylvania? If you drive there now, lock your doors and don't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, and Flint is the same way. There's a great rock and roll club. This is probably not something a lot of, but there's a great rock and roll club in Flint. There's also a radio station there, a rock station called The Banana, which is a legendary station. And the club that has shows there, absolute legendary. The bands are terrified to play there, but it's a legendary club. They don't even want to get off the bus. And that's what Flint is like. And Flint is like that because of what's continued to happen in so many great cities. I mean, let's face it, look at Wheeling. Wheeling really was at one point a center of hustle and bustle and shopping and things like that. Same like Clairton, where I grew up. And now look at all these American cities, formerly great American cities, with all this boom, have been left for dead. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I mean, not only did Flint get left for dead, then they actually helped kill people by bringing this disgusting water in and making them still drink it and not fixing this problem for its citizens. I mean, it's mind-blowing that this is America. Like, it's sad. Todd, do you remember those commercials when you would see, I think it was Sally Struthers, and I'm not likening the sadness of one thing to another because they're all different, but I remember seeing those commercials where she would talk about for just 25 cents a day, you can help this community and these children eat and things like that. And I remember seeing those commercials as a kid. And I remember being so sad. I can't even watch them now, really, when they still show these struggling children. Like you can adopt a child in a different country and be a pen pal and they'll send you updates. It still bothers me to see those images because it's sad and it's hurtful. And then I realized all I have to do is drive to like Benwood to see people that are struggling just in this country and not in a foreign country on a commercial. I just have to drive down Route 2 or I have to go back towards Clairton where I grew up. I can't believe this. And you want to talk about being naive. It's me. It's me, Todd. I was that naive. I didn't realize this happened because these weren't places that I went anymore.
Right. Yeah.
They weren't places
I had a dramatic realization. I moved to Florida in 1998. I grew up on Wheeling Island. Moved to Florida in 1998. I moved back in 2014. So I didn't get to see the gradual change. It was just a huge slap in the face. I'm like, what happened to this town? Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you live there consistently, it is gradual. And it's like, it's almost like a little chipping away every year. It's like, oh, the old corner store closed. I mean, I'm not trying to make everything about Main Street America. All I'm saying is when you see, the butcher there retired and now the butcher shop's closed. And it is a gradual change. But if you leave for 16 years, like you said you did, yeah, you're going to come back to a harsh reality that things are not the same. And really, what is it going to take to fix them? Money. It's going to take someone or a group of someone's, whether it's Flint, Michigan, Clairton, Pennsylvania, Wheeling, West Virginia, it doesn't matter. It's going to take, you know what a great example is? Homestead, PA. Have you ever been to the waterfront in Homestead?
No, sir.
Okay, Homestead, Pennsylvania is a mill town, a huge mill town. It's right down the river from Kennywood in between Sandcastle, if you've ever been there, to either one of those places.
I've been to Kennywood.
Okay, yeah, it's right down, it's on the same river, right down the same, it's 8th Avenue in Homestead, and that whole 8th Avenue drives you right into Kennywood's parking lot. So that's the area that I'm talking about for everybody that's listening, just so you have an idea. And that was all steel mill, from miles of steel mill. Some developer came in, knocked down all the buildings, kept the original brick smokestacks for aesthetics, and now there is an enormous outdoor shopping complex with a Dave & Buster's, all the restaurants you could want, entertainment, bowling alley, grocery stores. And so it redefined what Homestead is. But if you go up above 8th Avenue in Homestead, it's still the same Homestead that it was. There's still abandoned houses and burnt out places. I mean, and so someone with money came into Homestead. They put their money into Homestead. Major retailers came to Homestead. And what did Homestead get? Nothing. The answer is nothing. They got nothing. They got places to go and eat that they can't afford, but they still have the same burnt out houses and the same struggles that they had when the mill was sitting there empty and decaying. So it really, not only does it take money from parties that are interested in making these communities better, but it also takes community leaders that demand something from the opportunity that these people have to make these areas that have been run down at one point, to rebuild them. And I don't know if it takes a little bit of extra money in some councilman's pocket or whoever to go, you know what, if you just let us build this here, we'll make your life a lot better. We'll make your life a lot better, but not everybody's life a lot better. And I think that's probably what you feel like happened. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you probably feel similar to that when you came back to Wheeling Island 16 years after you left and went, what happened?
Yeah, well, to me, from my perspective, it looked like it is the only thing standing that from when I was young is the Downs and the stadium. And I mean, when I was a kid, the roller skating rink was open. We had, all kinds of restaurants, little minute markets, A&J Corner Market, Minute Market on the south end. There were little grocery stores, IGA, and then that turned into Noel's Candy at one point. And then, like I said, I come back and everything's gone. Like, it just empty. The island, not that that's what you want, but my God, must have had a dozen bars on that island, and it's only, a mile and a half long?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's okay to want that. I mean, the corner bar is an institution in every neighborhood, in every single neighborhood. My father owned a corner bar. That's how, the things that we had, which were not, we were not overly anything as a kid, but I didn't grow up dirt poor on dirt floors, but we didn't grow up with a lot. And what we had came from my parents operating the Mill Gate Bar right outside of one of the gates of the mill in Clairton, PA. The corner bar is an institution for so many. And yeah, you do want to see that. I'll never deflect the idea of bars being part of the fabric of any community. The best ideas and also the worst laid plans happen at the corner bar.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you can't imagine how many. You'll never be able to figure it out. And Todd, I want to thank you for the calls. We're getting ready to go to break. And please feel free to call back sometime. We love having you guys involved. Have a great day and have a great weekend too.
Thank you. You guys do the same.
Thanks, Todd. But yeah, I can't tell you how many times, Lowell, I don't know if your family was like this, but mine certainly was. The things that we did in our lives as a family and with our family friends, those things revolutionized at the end of the bar, on a bar stool.
Yeah.
You know, I good, bad, or indifferent, the first time I ever found like the shuffleboard game was because I was like 6 and my dad took me to the bar and he bought me a Turner's iced tea and said, go play this game. Here's a pile of quarters.
Yeah,
I
know.
And you know what? The comfortability I got in life because my dad probably wasn't the most concerned father. He didn't wrap me in bubble wrap and sit me somewhere to make sure I didn't get exposed to things. He took my ass to the corner bar and I learned things.
My kid grew at 3 years old, would go into the bar and climb up on the bar stool and everybody knew him and, he could stand on a chair and watch pool being shot, Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd be arrested today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My father would be under the jail. For some of the things I saw, but you know what? I'm a better person for it today. Long live the corner bar in Main Street, America. I love it. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get to the latest, the issues on Capitol Hill and some of the things surrounding that next here on The Watchdog.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Authorities say the potential for further violence is real following the deadly siege at the U.S. Capitol. Security in Washington, D.C. and state houses will be at unprecedented levels leading up to the inauguration. The FBI also tracking down more suspects.
The FBI said Kevin Seafried was photographed carrying a Confederate flag through the halls of Congress in one of the more striking images to emerge from the insurrection. Seafried was arrested in Delaware after authorities issued several bulletins seeking public help to identify him. The FBI has received more than 125,000 photos and videos as agents try to find everyone involved. They've looked at airline passenger manifests and airport surveillance cameras.
ABC's Aaron Katursky. Days after President Trump made a farewell visit to Texas to view progress on the border wall built during his term, a new Inspector General report is out about his administration's zero-tolerance policy dealing with the separation of migrant families.
A federal watchdog report claiming former Attorney General Jeff Sessions and his office were the driving force behind the Trump administration's efforts separating migrant families as part of the zero-tolerance policy aimed at unauthorized border crossers. The Department of Justice Office of the Inspector General found that 280 families were separated under what it describes as the El Paso Initiative. Conducted from March through November of 2017, the initiative served as something of a trial run for the zero-tolerance push later implemented across the entire southwest border. Inez De La Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
Coronavirus cases remain high, especially in California and Los Angeles County.
10 million people live here in LA County, and the county says its new epidemic modeling finds 1 in 3 people in the county has been infected with COVID-19 since the beginning of the pandemic. Infections here continue to rise as the county gets ready to open its first mass vaccination site on Friday at Dodger Stadium.
ABC's Alex Stone in Los Angeles County. You're listening to ABC News.
Do you check your Google search results regularly? You should. People often get their first impression of you or your business online. Negative comments on the internet can impact your life and your livelihood. Take control of your online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com. It may reveal negative posts from an ex-employee, upset patient or client, news article, legal issue, or even exposed personal information right there in your Google search results. Uncover what's lurking on the internet about you with reputationdefender.com's patented scan and get your free reputation report card. Or for immediate assistance with your reputation, call 800-401-6681. Our cutting-edge technology helps make your Google search results look their best. Call 800-401-6681. That's 800-401-6681. 800-401-6681. Or take the free scan at reputationdefender.com.
The Flint water crisis resulting in criminal charges against 9 officials, including former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder. Many residents suffered lead poisoning and 9 people died from Legionnaire's disease after officials decided to switch the city's water supply to the polluted Flint River. Michigan Solicitor General Fadwa Hammoud.
Nobody